Hi, YouTube. It's Erica back from In the Company of Cards. I told you that I would do another weekend edition, and here we are Sunday. Uh, Hope you enjoyed the extra hour of sleep if you are here in the US, where we change our clocks twice a year, which is ridiculous. But anyway, we did get an extra hour of sleep, so that's good. If you have not seen Saturday Night Live's Cold Open, I from last night. I hope you will look for it. It was so good. It was so good. I got up off the couch and I just was just doing a dance the whole time. So I hope you get to watch that. Some of you have said that you come here because of my calm energy and that I help keep you sane, etc. Bear in mind the news that I bring will not always be the news that you want to hear, but I think it'll be the news that we need to hear. So, this is not always happy, happy, joy, joy. I'm not about that hopium stuff. But I will try to be sane and rational and calm in my delivery of whatever I have to tell you. So, a few things I would like to look at today. The first is the Georgia vote, because early voting is really heavy there, which is great. And I'm just curious to see where that vote will go. I'm looking at the presidential race. Um, yeah. Uh, I may also look at the Texas Cruz all red race after that. I think I'll add that to the list. And then there's a couple of other things too. So, but first, we're going to look at the Georgia vote. Welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. The channel is growing by leaps and bounds, and I am just really delighted. So, thank you all for trusting me to read for you. Okay. Uh, Georgia vote. All right. And I'm going to do what I've been doing, which is pulling three cards for Harris and three cards for 45. But let me turn my heater off. It's a little chilly here in San Diego. But I mean, it is November, so. Okay, here we go. This is Harris, and we're looking at Georgia. And this is 45. Mm. Well, for Harris, we have the young man card, we have the birds card, and we have fish. I don't know, but what uh, people will be paid to not vote for Harris. This can be that incel group. This can be also young Black men who, for whatever reason, are mesmerized by Trump, who have aspirations of having the kind of lifestyle that they think he leads. Um, and the birds is sort of the card for meeting and gathering. But this is money here. I don't really love this for Harris. And then we have 45's cards. We have the key, we have the lily, and we have the star. I'm just going to say these are really good cards. So, mm, I'm not saying that the Harris cards are not good, but the 45's cards are better. So I do think that Georgia could be one of those states that we have to wait to hear about whether there was monkey business going on in that election. Um, yeah, so this is not, it will not be a clean sweep for Harris, I don't think. Okay. Now I got my cards all mixed up. but not mixed up the way I want them to be. They're all upside down, backwards. Okay, and you don't read Lenormand upside down. You don't read it reversed. Um, so I have to just put them all right side up for this next look. No idea why they got all discombobulated, except that I think that it speaks to how we're going to feel in the coming days. Okay. So if you are in Georgia and you have not voted yet, please vote. Uh, yeah, please vote. Uh, then the next thing I want to look at is the Texas Senate race. And this is between Colin Allred, or Colin Allred, however he says his first name. And he's the Democratic challenger to the incumbent Ted Cruz. He of the Cancun when there's a storm in my state senator. Okay, so I'm going to draw, again, I'm going to draw three for Colin Allred. He's the Democrat, and those will be the first three. And then I will pull three for Cruz. You know, energy is mutable. If you've not gotten out to vote, get out and vote. Phone bank, do whatever you need to do to get other people out to vote. So we are looking at this Senate race because it would be great for us to get the Senate. Oh, whoops. Okay, I'll show you. So this is Allred's cards. And this is Cruz's cards. And I am going to unequivocally call Texas Senate race for Allred. These cards couldn't be better. This is not money. This stands for lots and lots and lots and lots of people coming out for that race. The sun is the best card in the deck. The stork is positive change. So I think Allred will pull this out, which would be amazing. And then, just the cards want me to know that this is unequivocal because these are Cruz's cards. The mountain, the tower, the coffin. He will be blocked. His time in government is over. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but this feels pretty definitive to me. So Colin Allred wins his Senate race over Ted Cruz in Texas. Okay, that's good. Okay, now I was going to read about the election monitors. You know, the federal government puts monitors in certain states to sort of make sure that everything's on the up and up in the polling places. But in 2016, I think it was, the SCOTUS, which is the Supreme Court of the United States, ruled that states had the right to say no thank you to the monitors. And as you can imagine, Governor DeSantis in Florida has said no thank you, as has the Secretary of State in Texas. Now, the monitors can be outside the polling places, but they are not allowed in for the purposes of overseeing things. So that just is what it is. I mean, there's no point in reading on that. There can be, there could be an appeal of that decision, of those decisions, but I just, you know what, whatever. Uh, you know, they're not going to want the monitors there, and so it is what it is. Okay. Uh, Now, a viewer asked me to look at the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States. That's the acronym for it, for those of you who don't know, to look at the SCOTUS role post-election. Remember, as I have said to you, Tuesday night, we will not know who the next president is, nor will we know Wednesday morning. There may well be states whose governors refused to certify. in which case this becomes, a legal nightmare and could possibly go to the Supreme Court. So just, get your popcorn, your coziest, comfiest pajamas, and pick up your knitting if you're a knitter like me. You can see my knitting basket in the background there. And just, settle in because we won't know right away. Um, I also, well, I'll say something else about that in a minute, but let's look at the Supreme Court's role in this. Will the Supreme Court have to have a role? Uh, so for the Supreme Court, I'm going to use the tower, and that will stand for the court. Okay. And I'm going to pull 5 cards, and if I need to pull clarifiers, I'll do that. Okay. Check the bottom of the deck. It's not there, so we have to flip through the deck. And remember, we're looking for the tower, which will stand for the Supreme Court. And I'm taking the 2 cards to the left and then the 2 cards to the right. Okay, interesting. I still may pull clarifiers, but maybe not. I don't know. So we have the cross, we have the whip, we have the tower, we have the rider, and we have the lily. I'm going to say, first off, they do not want to have to be the ones to decide this case. Also, with the cross in the beginning, I don't think they will be the ones to decide this case. And why would that be? Well, whatever foolishness people try, I think the turnout for Harris is going to be so large. Like, I think, everybody's saying it's a close election, razor thin. I'm not sure that it's as razor thin as people think that it is. And, if you were around in 2000, which I was, where Gore got robbed, thanks to the Supreme Court, of his rightful presidency, and it went to George Bush. Um, this is not that. That was a margin in a certain state, of course, Florida, of like 600 votes or something. This is not going to be like that. So to have the cross like right in the beginning of the line, for me, a lot of times that means that whatever question that I asked is essentially a non-starter, that it won't be a thing, that it won't go to the Supreme Court. And I love the fact that the last card, the card I can mirror it with, is the lily. The lily is about peace, maturity, etc. Supreme Court's not going to take up something that they don't have to take up. And I think that the split will be far enough apart with these 2 candidates that there will be no need for the Supreme Court. Uh, Now, the second card in the line after the cross is the whip, and this is arguments. And of course, we've got the Supreme Court itself as the center card. But the fourth card, which is what I can mirror this whip with, is the rider. So, yeah, there may be conversations about pulling in the Supreme Court, but I don't think in the end it will be necessary. I just don't. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is the energy of right now. I really don't think either it won't get to the Supreme Court or the Supreme Court won't they will rule the way they should rule. They will rule the way they should rule, which is in favor of the one who does not abuse microphones, which would be Harris. Ugh. Okay. Now, um, I wanted to say that I've heard a lot of readers say what I'm about to say, and I agree with them. So I'm going to say it too. Um, as we get closer and closer to this election Tuesday, if you have a bumper sticker that's for Harris, I might consider removing that. If you have a lawn sign, I would take it in. if you have gear, which we all have gear, hats and t-shirts and, you know, pearls and Converse, also Converse sneakers, we all have that stuff. I would keep it, put it to the side for the moment. Because the next question that I want to look at is the propensity for violence after the election. Um, I just think that there's no point in making a target of yourself. So, listen, in January, come the inauguration, deck yourself out. I will. But I think, safety first. So I want to look at the propensity for violence after the election. Um, and because Harris will win, I am looking at violence coming from the 45 side. Uh, 45 is getting, increasingly violent in his rhetoric, but well, I have my own theory about how effective that will be. Remember that a lot of his followers are where? In the clink. And those followers who are not in the clink don't want to end up in the clink. Not only that, who is the president currently? It's Biden. So Biden and his Justice Department will be the ones who are responding to any kind of violence. And, the more unhinged 45 becomes, I'm going to suggest that even his followers are going to say, wait a minute, what? You know, like, is this the hill we want to die on? So, but let's just look. So for violence, I think the card I'm going to use is the scythe because it's a sharp blade. And I am charging it with the energy of possible violence around election day and the subsequent days after. And by charging it, I just mean setting the intention that that is what that card will represent. So let's see. Okay. So this stands for violence on the part of 45's minions around the day of the election and after. So we'll put that there. These are the two cards that precede it. Okay. And I think I'm going to pull clarifiers. So before I start talking about it, let me just pull some clarifying cards. Uh, I'll do the whole spread. So this is the spread that is known around the world. I created it. And it allows me to do a deep dive on a single issue. Um, and it's 23 cards. And it has kind of a little bit of a chronological vibe to it, but you'll see when I get there. And then I'm going to put the extra. Okay. So here's the original cards. Uh, we have the dog, the coffin. There's our site. This stands for violence around election day and after. The heart, and then the whip. Okay. So let's see. Uh, you know, 45 has friends, people who are loyal to him. Um, but with this coffin, I suspect that, you know, much as some of them wouldn't love sort of a January 6th redo, it's not going to happen. I think that there the response will be contained. Uh, he is not the future. They will realize he's not the future. Uh, this is the violence card. Now, it's interesting that we have this heart and this whip. Now, the whip, sometimes the whip is a great card. It's the card for the athlete, it's the card for the writer, it's a card for discipline. It's also the card for conversations that are potentially unpleasant, difficult, um, ugly. Um, and so, yeah, there will be people who will be disappointed. There will be people who say he was robbed, all of that. But I'm not seeing the degree of violence that we saw on January 6th around at any point around any of this. Again, I think that 45 will want it and he will call for it, he'll advocate for it, but I'm not so sure that people are going to be in the mood. So here we have, this is his loyal followers. We have clouds, we have fish, and we have clover. Okay. Uh, you know, these are the loyal followers. They want to make him happy, but this is emotion and this is doubts. It's kind of what I said, and I told you that happens to me sometimes where I'll say something and then the cards will show me the literal thing I just said. And what I think is that it will be so clear to everyone that the country is ready to move forward. We just, can we just move on? That even these people, I suspect, will be emotionally wrung out and exhausted and confused as to whether, if they do anything, it will have any kind of effect that they're looking for. Um, the coffin, we have stars, bouquet, and lily. It's really interesting cards to be a lot to go along with this coffin card. The coffin is, as I said earlier when I was reading horizontally, um, he's over, he's finished, he's done. But this also is the card for transformation. And I'm going to say again what I said before. If you have relatives, friends, I even have relatives, can you believe it? Who are Trump, Trump, Trump. Um, Trump will not be a thing anymore. I'm not saying that Project 25 and all of the musky feel money behind it won't still be an issue, but 45 himself will not be a thing anymore. So we need to leave space and grace and room for those Trump followers who want to come in from the cold. We want to give them hope for the future, that Harris is going to be the president for all of us. The fact that we're going to be living in a majority minority culture is a thing to celebrate and showcase and instead of fear. And so, this will be, an opportunity for us to sort of come together. And again, to quote Rodney King, look it up if you don't know who Rodney King was. Can't we all get along? And so those of us who are on this side, we need to do our part. Um, no gloating, no, I told you so, no, you dumb idiot, why would you? None of that. These are our friends and our relatives who got caught up in a cult. And they need to be welcomed back into the fold. All right. So here we have this is again the propensity for violence, the question of to what degree will there be that? We have the young woman, we have the scales, and we have the tower. Now, okay, this is violence, but look, this card, whoops, where is it? No, This card, this is yin energy. So this is less about women per se and more about yin energy. And yin energy is open, accepting, um, giving, generous, kind, um, welcoming. And I think that we can help stave off some of that, whatever, that sort of um, disappointed anger, whatever you want to call it, by being kind and being welcoming, because equilibrium is needed. And by the way, if it's necessary, the government will step in. Uh, Unlike what happened on January 6th, the National Guard, whatever, will step in and quell whatever needs to be quelled. And I think it will be quick. I don't think that there will be any long lasting, anything. Okay, then we have the heart as our fourth card in the original line, and the clarifiers are the ship, the mountain, and the mice. I really like this. Look, those of us who are Americans, we are all Americans. We love our country. We believe in the idea of the creation of a more perfect union, and we would like to move forward with that. Um, this creation of a more perfect union. But the problem is it will not happen overnight. There will be no kumbaya reconciliation overnight. And that's why the mountain is here. The mountain says there will be people who will be disappointed and angry for some time because they thought they were going to win and they didn't win. But I love seeing the mice here because the mice eat away at the mountain. The mice nibble away at the mountain, which is to say, do not expect your friends and relatives who were Trumpy to immediately fall into your arms full of contrition. That won't happen. But little by little, drop by drop, step by step, this will be um, this mountain between us will be chipped away at so that this can be the result. And I know I sound like Pollyanna, so call me Pollyanna. I think that we will choose to be creators of a more perfect union. I really do. And I think that this fever will break. Um, but again, when it breaks, we don't want to slap people in the face. We want to hand them a cold cloth for their fevered brow and make them soup and welcome them back home. To a home, by the way, that's never existed, but that we can start to be in the process of creating. Then we have, as our fifth card, the whip, and the clarifiers for that are the bear, the letter, and the book. Well, this is just sort of an echo of 45. This is the card for the narcissist, and it's the card for 45, wanting to stir up stuff amongst the voters and make them think that things are being hidden from them or stolen from them, or that there's secrets around how Kamala won, whatever. But this is just him flapping his lips. Um, and I can mirror the very first card, which was his people, with the book. I think they're not going to know whether to believe him or not. I really do. And then I always draw a final three cards in this spread, and they kind of act as a postscript. Is there anything else that I can tell us about this situation in this moment? And the rider, the cards that we have are the rider, the tree, and I'll hold off on the final card. The rider, there is a message we can take from all of this. Rider is a message. We did not get where we are overnight, which is to say, if you wanted to plant an oak tree, you would not go in your backyard dig a hole with a spoon, put an acorn in it, spray some water on it, go in your house and make a cup of coffee, and then come outside expecting to see a full-blown oak tree. We didn't get this way by accident, and we're not going to become who we need to be overnight. So this will take time. What will take time? A more perfect union. All will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. This is what we need to focus on, and this was what we need to intend. Some people will say, oh, I really wish I could meditate, but I can't meditate. And I'll say, well, why is that? And they'll say, because my mind wanders. And it always makes me laugh. Meditation is, you meditate, right? And your mind will wander. What am I going to make for dinner? What's the weather going to be tomorrow? Is my boss going to curse me out at work? Um, oh, why are my kids making all that noise in the hall? And when you meditate, all you're meant to do is to observe those thoughts and then bring your mind back to the cushion. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Eventually, what happens if you practice this long enough is that the span of time where you don't get interrupted by your thoughts increases. Well, I'm suggesting that we all practice this these next few days. Our minds will wander. We may wake up in a cold sweat. We may worry. We may wonder. Bring our minds back and back and back and back to what we envision as this more perfect union with President Harris at the helm. All will be well, I promise. I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Like, share, subscribe. I'd love it if you would do that. And if you already have, thank you so much. Take care.